CNN cannot decide if they want to cover Trump fairly or be Trump derangement syndrome. Here they are, just shortly after the election, saying Trump has a mandate. Then I'll show a video where they're saying, no, 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 Trump does not actually have a mandate.
Holy Toledo. All right. Trump gained ground in 49 states and the District of Columbia compared to 2020. I went back through the record books. When was the last time a party gained in so many different places? You have to go all the way back to 1992 when Bill Clinton improved upon Michael Dukakis's performance in 49 states, plus the District of Columbia. The bottom line is no matter where you looked on the map, Kate Baldwin, no matter where you looked, Donald Trump was improving on where he did 4 years ago, except for Washington State. It is no wonder that at this particular point, he looks like he's going to be the first Republican to win the popular vote since George W. Bush back in 2004.
And to pull that off, he gained ground.
So it's sounding pretty positive to Trump here.
With groups that Republicans do not generally count as part of their winning coalition, or really at all. How much ground did he gain?
Yeah, holy Toledo. It's just like, oh my.
Holy Toledo. By the way, the next clip I'm going to show, it's the exact same guy 2 weeks later, roughly. Sounds like a different person.
My goodness gracious. These are the types of groups that you would never have thought that Donald Trump would have gained so much support among 8 years ago when he first won against Hillary Clinton.
Only because CNN has no critical thought ability. This is just their bubble. If you're in their bubble, you wouldn't think this.
Trump's was the best GOP showing among 18 to 29-year-olds in 20 years. You have to go all the way back to 2004. How about among black voters? It was the best performance for a Republican candidate for president in 48 years since Gerald Ford back in 1976. And among Hispanic voters, the exit polls only go back since 1972. But Donald Trump's performance on Tuesday was the best for a Republican presidential candidate in exit poll history. He literally goes all the way back through history and breaks history. This is what we're talking about, Kate Baldwin. Groups that you never thought that Donald Trump would do well among, even for a Republican candidate, that is what he did. If the 2016 election was about Donald Trump breaking through.
But it's not a mandate in the next clip. It's so funny to watch this now.
White working class voters, this election was about breaking through and going to that Democratic coalition and tearing it apart.
And it wasn't just what he did for his own support. It trickled down to helping the Senate and helping in the House?
Yeah. So, a lot of talk this morning and this week is, the GOP is going to have a Senate majority. We don't know if the Republicans are going to have a House majority, but we think that that's the most likely to be the case. But I want you to look.
They do.
Look at the 2024 House GOP national vote showing. So this is the House popular vote. Currently, the GOP is ahead by 5 points. I expect that to shrink a little bit as some of the California results come in. But that, if let's just say he wins, the House GOP wins by more than 2.6 points, it will be the best House GOP showing in a presidential year in the House popular vote since 1928. If there's any viewer out there who is that old, God bless you. But the bottom line is it was probably the best House GOP national vote showing during most of our viewers' lifetimes.
There are
in a presidential year.
Yeah, okay. It's good to see you, Harry. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
God bless you.
So, wow. Now, same guy. Watch him in the next clip here. Literally the same guy, just a short while later. Now he's trying to, I don't know if he got like a note from some executive or some producer at CNN. You can't be saying that Trump's so great. Watch him here.
If you look historically speaking, Donald Trump is now under 50% in the national popular vote, barely under 50%, but he is under 50%. And I want to take a look and compare his popular vote victory to those, historically speaking, over the last 200 years.
The Trump is under 50% popular vote is the most ridiculous cope from the left right now. That is so funny. Oh, he's only at 49.9% of the popular vote. Wow. With all these third parties as well. He still is way clear of Kamala.
His popular vote victory ranks 44th out of 51. That ain't exactly strong. Some might argue that is weak in the words of Tony Blair. In fact, his popular vote win at this point is the weakest going all the way back. You have to go all the way back to 2000 to find a weaker one, a smaller popular vote victory than Donald Trump currently has. So, yeah.
So what happened? This is the same guy. Is that not the most funny thing you've seen in a while? Same dude. There's just obviously a different editorial bent to what he's trying to say. He's covering the same numbers. He's just cherry picking new information. This is probably just 2 weeks after the election, whatever it is. CNN scrambling. Okay, how can we possibly make this look good for Democrats. It probably just, I mean, I'm guessing it took them 2 weeks to come up with, okay, now go sell this story. We came up with some numbers. I don't know, try to tell people that it's a close election so Trump doesn't have all this control.
Trump has won the popular vote, but it ain't all that, my dear friend John Berman.
You know, George W. Bush had a bigger popular vote
Yes.
in 2004, and if you're looking at a combination of popular vote and electoral college vote, look, Obama twice
Correct.
had bigger popular vote and electoral college vote victories.
And Joe Biden did as well.
Joe Biden's popular vote victory
Correct.
twice as
Yes.
big, electoral college victory a little smaller. Talk about coattails for Donald Trump.
Yeah,
That is so funny. Trump won the popular vote by a good margin as well, and nobody thought he was going to. And it's not even what you're trying to do in an election. You're trying to win those 7 battleground states. The fact that he won the popular vote by a pretty sizable margin is an absolute landslide. CNN is totally twisting themselves into knots trying to sell this as anything but that.
talk about coattails here. So, you talk about the Senate, short coattails. States Trump won, but Democrats won or lead in the Senate race. Look at this. In 2016, it was 0. In 2020, it was 0. In 2024, look at this. 4 states where a Senate Democratic candidate won, even though Donald Trump won. We're talking about Nevada, Arizona, Pennsylvania, not Pennsylvania, Michigan and Wisconsin. That is 4 states, and Pennsylvania we still haven't called yet. That could be 5 if Bob Casey is able to mount a comeback. But even if Casey loses and Dave McCormick wins, we're talking about 4 states. In fact, I went all the way back through the history books.
I'm not even sure if this is, like, I think this is probably more positive for Trump. They're trying to spin this like it's negative. Like, again, it's pretty ambiguous if this is positive or negative to Trump, but just at first glance, I would say this is actually positive for Trump. It shows that he personally is even more popular than the GOP is in general. I don't know what they're trying to sell here with this.
And this is the most Senate races that the Prez Winners Party lost in states the president won since 2004. Again, you have to go all the way back since the early 2000s to find a historical note that matches what's going on right now. So yeah, Donald Trump won, but there weren't exactly all that many Republicans, or at least fewer than you'd expect historically, who rode around in that victory car with him.
What about the House?
Again, that is just, there's no point to even bring that up. That is such a cherry pick. It's essentially irrelevant, and if you're going to argue that it has any impact, I would say it's actually positive because it shows that Trumpism, MAGA, is the most popular strain of American politics right now.
What about the House? Well, we're talking about a historically small majority potentially for the Republicans. The GOP would have a record small majority if the current House results hold. The GOP would be at 221. The Democrats would be at 214.
Remember that last clip? They weren't even sure at the time if the Republicans were going to win the House, and they were still saying it in the context of a landslide election that Trump's overperforming in all these different areas, and they weren't even sure if he was going to win the House. Now that they know that he did win the House, it makes the landslide even bigger, and they're trying to spin it as, well, it's not that big of a House victory.
You have to go all the way back before there were 50 states in the Union to find a smaller majority for the incoming House majority that Republicans currently hold right now at 221. And of course, that could drop lower if Stefanik Waltz or others leave the House Republican majority, which at this point seems quite likely, Mr. Berman.
And again, it is worth noting there are parts of Donald Trump's victory which are notable, a realignment, historic in their own way, but the size of the victory just isn't.
Correct. What we're talking about...
That's so funny. It's a huge victory. You see those maps of like showing all the different places he was outperforming traditional Republicans and even himself in 2020. There's very few counties. That clip of CNN where Jake Tapper, not one at the time at least, not one county Harris was outperforming by over 3%.
We're talking a very wide win for Donald Trump, but the depth, it's not particularly deep. It's actually quite shallow, historically speaking, Mr. Berman.
Harriet, thank you very much.
That is so funny. That is the most ridiculous cope there is. He won in so many different areas with so many different groups, outperformed every estimate again, and he easily won by an election that it was essentially over very quickly. If you watch the betting markets, Trump was at like 80, 90% pretty early in the night, way earlier than anyone would have expected. I mean, maybe not anyone, but most people for sure, definitely CNN. There's just no way to spin this as anything but a massive landslide victory and a mandate for Donald Trump. So this is so funny. I just think watching those 2 videos back-to-back is comedy. With that said, I'll finish the video here. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Have a great day.